You guys, the verdict is still out when it comes to this cream contour. We move though, we move. Hey beauties, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Essence Janay. And in today's video, I'm going to be showing you this hot orange summer makeup look using new products. Now, every single product that I used in today's video will be linked down below in the description. All of it is not new, and some of it is not like new launches. Actually, I don't think there is one new launch on the table today, but nonetheless, it's new to me. You haven't seen me use these products before, and I'm so excited to share today's video with you. It was kind of crazy getting it all done and filmed because I hadn't filmed in a while, but nonetheless, I really hope you guys enjoy the video and the makeup look. You guys already know what to do before we get started. Of course, make sure you hit the bell and subscribe. You cannot hit the bell without subscribing, so it comes as a package, if you will. So go ahead and do that, especially if you love today's content. Check out other videos down below as well. And with all of that, we are going to get started. So make sure you grab your makeup brushes, matcha tea, water, snack, whatever is your preference. And let's get into today's video. It's going to be a bumpy ride, so make sure you buckle up. And get into things. I'm going to start with priming the skin, and I'm going to use this little mini that I purchased from Sephora. This is from Rare Beauty. This is their Always an Optimist base, so it's a primer, and it says that it's supposed to mattify the skin but also fill in the pores. So it's a silky primer that blurs and smooths the complexion with a natural matte finish. So I haven't used mattifying products in a while, so I'm interested in seeing. Definitely comes out pretty jelly based in my opinion, and I'm just going to rub this on. Very smoothing. Like, as I'm rubbing it in, the product is just literally gliding over my skin, which is kind of nice. Definitely feels very smooth, like a baby's bottom for sure on the skin. And I don't know, that just gives me hope for it to like really do what it says it's gonna do. As far as pores, I mean, they look pretty smooth. Definitely feels like skincare. The product, the way that it looked straight out the bottle, seemed like it was gonna be that nasty texture that I hate when it comes to mattifying products, but this was definitely very smooth. So now that we have the base nice and primed, we are going to let that sink in and sit, and I'm just going to go ahead and prime my lids. So I'm going to use my NARS Soft Matte Concealer, which I have yet to repurchase. I need to. I've been to Sephora and I just forget all about it, but I'm going to use this for my eyeshadow primer and to kind of clean up underneath my brows. So the eyeshadow look I tried to create for you guys using the Cara Beauty palette was a disaster. So this is the palette that I picked up from either TJ Maxx or Marshall's. It was about $6, which is really cheap and affordable, but I loved the packaging on it. The whole magazine vibe is definitely a vibe. So instead of using a lot of the colors, I'm just going to stick to a couple. So one shadow that I did try to use previously was Daydream, and that was so pretty. Now I did realize I do need to spray the brush down with a little bit of setting spray prior to putting it on the lid because it just goes on better. So I'm just going to take this and I'm going to put it on my entire lid. This is such a beautiful shimmer, perfect for summer, and just gives the vibes, all the vibes. So now that we have that beautiful shade laid down, I'm going to take a little bit of Little Tanned, which is this shadow right here, and I'm going to, actually, you know what? I'm actually going to take Latte because it's a lot lighter, which is this shadow right here, and I'm going to pop that in the crease. Now taking the smallest amount of Little Tanned, which is this shadow, I'm going to also pop that in the crease, but more so the outer part of the crease, just to add slight definition, nothing too intense because I don't want it to be overpowering to the orange because I really want the orange to stand out. So I'm doing it with a light hand and not very much on my brush. So I don't want to get too carried away with the eyeshadow because then it'll start going downhill as it did before. So I'm just going to leave it like this. I love the orange. It's so vibrant. It's so summery. I love it. So I'm going to leave it at like this, but I do need to clean up a little bit of fallout underneath my lower lash line. I will have to say that this palette is not my favorite. I mean, even the orange, even though I sprayed the brush down because I really wanted that to pop, I feel like it was still a little hard to work with. But I mean, $6 for an eyeshadow, you really can't judge it that hard because it was pretty affordable. And it's not just one eyeshadow we're talking about. You get about 4, 8, 12, 16 different shadows in this palette. So I've only played with a select few, but the look that we have so far is pretty basic, but it's pretty because it just gives you that nice pop and wash of color, which people tend to enjoy every now and then. So I'm just going to touch up the orange slightly, and then I will clean up underneath the eyes. For mascara, I'm just going to pop on a little bit of this one from Maybelline. This is the Sky High mascara. I've been so obsessed with this. It's definitely a go-to mascara for me. Forget about everything else in my collection. I use this quite often, and I'm just going to do a light coat of mascara because I am going to pop on some falsies. Now we can move on to the base makeup. I don't know why this video has been so difficult for me to film today, but we are just going to believe that all of that is in the past, and moving forward, everything shall run smoothly. So now, with that being said, I am going to jump into my next new product. So I went ahead and picked up a couple of rare beauty items, as you guys will see in today's video. This one is the liquid highlighter. Now, I do want to use this before I put on my foundation and everything, and if I need to, I will apply it yet again later on. But I'm just going to pop this right here on the high parts of my cheek, as well as my nose, and keep its bow and all of that. So just a little, pretty much everywhere I normally highlight. I want to see if it's really gonna give me that nice glow underneath. And I'm gonna take my sponge, which is fairly dry at this moment because it's been sitting here for so long. I'm going to spray it with some setting spray, dampen it a little bit, and then I'm just gonna press this in as best I can. It's definitely giving a nice glow on the skin. Didn't even tell you guys what shade I was using. That's so rude. So the shade I picked up is called FLAUNT, which is like this gold, but it's like a light gold, not a true gold, maybe like champagne kind of like. And I really like it. It's definitely very like glowy, but sheer glowy, if that makes sense. So for foundation today, I'm actually going to be using Skin Tint, and I'm going to use the one from Fenty Beauty. So again, I have shade 12, and I'm going to apply this directly to my face. And if I need to, I will go in with a foundation, because this is like a foundation, but technically it's not. And we'll just see what kind of coverage we want today. So just drawing it on wherever. I feel like a little bit of this product does the skin justice. And I'm actually going to take my Morphe E63, and I'm going to use this to kind of blend in the product. I really love this brush for applying foundations and any skin products. It's one of my favorites. So as you guys can see, it gives nice coverage. It's still very natural, but you still get that coverage, which is nice. But I'm gonna take just a small amount of my ColourPop Pretty Fresh foundation, and I'm just going to touch up a couple of spots just because I need that extra coverage in certain areas. So this is a really good trick or hack or whatever you want to call it to do, just to give yourself that extra coverage that you need in certain areas. So I'm just going to tap it on lightly. Also from Rare Beauty, I also picked up their concealer finally, or her concealer, and I have it in 320W, so hopefully this shade works. We will find out. I don't want to use too much. I'm going to start with a little bit first. And I'm going to use my sponge to blend it out, but again, I'm too lazy to go wet the sponge again, so I'm just going to spray some setting spray and blend away. I'm not really liking the sponge too much to blend it out, so I'm actually just taking the same foundation brush I used and just blending it out this way. Now, from what I know, this concealer is not full coverage by any means, which I was okay with when purchasing it, but I also could have went up with the shade. This is definitely like my skin tone, this color. So 320 is definitely not a brightening concealer for me. I may go in with a secondary concealer just to give a little brightness to the under eyes and all the points of my face that I want to highlight, because this is just looking a little too one-toned for me. The formula of the concealer is nice, but the shade I could have done better for sure. So I did go ahead and add a little bit of my Hourglass Vanish concealer in Fawn, just a little bit, just to give a little brightness underneath the eyes. Now let's go ahead and move into cream contour or bronzer. You can do both, but today I'm just going to use this one product as both my bronzer and contour. If I feel like it's not dark enough or I don't get what I want from it, I will go in with the powder product. This is the Milk Makeup. This is their matte bronzer stick, and mine is in the shade Baked. So I'm just going to take this, and I'm going to take my Sephora Pro 47 brush, and I'm going to actually just take the product from the stick and rub it on the brush. So we have our product there, and then I'm going to apply this to my skin. So I think the verdict for the cream bronzer from Milk Makeup is still out. Not really sure how I feel about it. I'm definitely gonna have to play with it a little more and use it more, but today is just not the day. So we're gonna move on. Now I'm gonna use some powder, of course, to set my face down. And the way this look is going, originally I was just gonna use my Charlotte Tilbury pressed powder, but I'm not sure how I'm feeling about just using a pressed powder today. We'll start with this, and if I need to, I'll go in with a loose one, but let's just start with the pressed one first. So I got this brush from Zoeva, and this is the 132 brush, and this is their powder finish brush. I actually got this in TJ Maxx as well, so I'm just going to use this just to dust this on. Like I said, setting with the pressed powder first. Not really sure what to expect, but I feel like the way this look is going, I'm going to need a loose powder today. But this brush seems nice to just kind of like brush on powder and just press it into the skin. I'm going to take a little bit of the Maybelline Fit Me powder. This is in medium, light medium, so it's 20. And I'm going to press this underneath my eyes. Definitely put that on the wrong side of the sponge, but let's go ahead and just press this in. I'm not baking necessarily, but I do want to leave it there until I'm finished applying it in all the areas that I want it. I feel like this powder is so nice and beautiful on the skin. As you guys can see, my skin looks flawless in this area where I applied it already, which is why I love this powder. And it helps to brighten things a little bit, especially because we used concealers that weren't too brightening outside of the Hourglass one. it didn't do what I wanted it to do. And I feel like this powder is definitely gonna help just like snatch everything and just get this look looking like something, you know, so much better. Oh my goodness. So I'm just gonna take that same Zoeva brush just to make sure I don't have any loose powder just sitting on my face, because we don't want that. But I feel like it really helped to like mattify everything, set everything down, smooth out the skin. Our skin looks very smooth right now, which I am loving. I'm feeling a little better, you guys. All right, so now that we have that, we do need to set the powder down because it's so much powder. But before we do that, let's add a little bit of powder bronzer. I'm just gonna use Benefit HOOLA just to add a little color into the skin, because I feel like with all the powder that we applied and just all the steps we took prior, that we just need a little something extra just to really help define the cheekbones and make this pretty. So I am using another Morphe brush to apply this. This is the Morphe M581. I really like it. Now that I can get with so much better. Oh, you guys have no idea. I am gonna pop on a little bit of blush, but actually before I do my blush, I do want to spray my face down, which I was gonna do before the bronzer, but I figured I'd wait. So of course, using the ColourPop. This is just my everyday go-to, all the time, must-have spray. And I'm just gonna melt everything into the skin, so just gonna let that dry down a little bit. So reverting to the under eyes, I'm gonna take a mixture of Latte and Little Tanned, which are the two brown shades that we kind of used at the top, and I'm just going to buff them on the lower lash line. Keep this real simple. I'm not going to take too much of it though, because I don't want to, again, darken up the look. I just want a little something on my lower lash line, because if not, it will feel very, very bare. Then for my waterline, I'm going to use my LA Girl liner, and this one is the Perfect Precision. It's a lip liner in the shade Nude, but again, I like to use it for anyone who is new. I like to use this lip liner as an eyeliner because it's what I find works for me. It really just helps to open up the eyes and just make them look a lot more awake and bright. To finish everything off with a little bit of blush, I am going to use this one from MILANI, the Luminoso Baked Blush, which is like a cult favorite. I think it will complement the eyes and just the look in general, and I'm just going to pop this on. Actually, this is not the last thing. We still need to add a little bit more highlight, and I think I'm going to actually see, this blush is cute and all, but does it really complement the eyes? Yeah, I guess so. So final time dipping into the palette, they do have a highlighter called Glow Up. I'm gonna use that because it's like a champagne gold. And if I can find my highlighter brush, I'm just gonna take that on my brush, and I'm gonna start on the tip of my nose just to kind of test it out. Doesn't seem too intense. And then let's set with a little bit more setting spray. Alright beauties, so this is everything finished and complete. This is the final look. I love the final look, but it took a lot to get here. I will probably leave a lot of the mistakes and just like nonsense out of today's video, so it'll be a little bit smoother for you guys, but man, this was a tough one. This is, I feel like, what happens to me when I just don't really do makeup for a long time. Well, a long time in my opinion. A week is long, clearly, for me, because I just could not get it together today. But it just proves the point of the fact that you need to just push through the hard times to get to the good, because trust me, everything is worth it in the end. I mean, there is a bad stage of makeup whenever you're doing your makeup, like that ugly stage, and then you get the final result and you're like, wow, beautiful. Definitely had that today for a little longer than anticipated, but I feel like everything worked itself out at the end, and I'm really happy with it. Now, as far as new products, I feel like I enjoyed pretty much everything. There wasn't one thing that I have to say I absolutely hated. The palette itself, I feel like, would I recommend? Maybe not. Maybe you could just pass on it, but for $6, you really can't judge it too badly because it wasn't that much money. Like, let's be real here. And I feel like the eyeshadow look definitely came out so pretty, even though it's so simple and just very minimalistic, but definitely gives that pop of color that is perfect for summer. I will have to explore more with the palette itself, and just maybe just today was not my day for eyeshadow, you know what I mean? So I will try it some other day off camera and just see how it works for me and report back to you guys. But other than that, like, the Rare Beauty products were lovely. I will say I feel like I could have gone up a shade with the concealer. It's definitely more so my skin tone, but using the Maybelline Fit Me powder, which I love to pull out every now and then underneath the eyes, really helped to give that brightening, lightening effect underneath there and just brought everything together. You know what I mean? Outside of that, the Milk Makeup stick that was used for kind of like cream bronzer contour is definitely still out, still being debated upon, but of course I will continue to use it and give you guys a more in-depth review. But overall, I feel like we've come to a good place and everything looks good, and I'm just so happy with the end result. Of course, let me know your thoughts down below. As always, I love you guys so much, and I will see each and every one of you, hopefully, I'm just going to speak it into existence in my next video, which will be this Friday. So make sure you guys stay tuned.